So, welcome to The Intersection. I'm Tony Florio. I'm the Director of Communications at Miovision. I'm here today with Kurtis McBride, Miovision CEO, and we're here to talk today a little about growth. So, the impetus of this, we've been named on the 2024 Report on Business ranking of Canada's top growing companies and the 2024 Deloitte Technology Fast 50 program, and both of them really quantify growth. It's revenue growth over a number of years. We're growing really quickly. We may be bringing an audience that hasn't heard of us before. They've seen us in the list and says, who is this Miovision? So for those of us who aren't familiar with Miovision, what do we do? What's the elevator pitch that you typically give to folks that want to know?
Yeah. So fundamentally, Miovision helps cities to measure and optimize traffic flow through cities. That could be vehicle traffic, could be freight traffic, could also be cyclists, pedestrians as they move around the cities. But I think the really interesting thing these days is that cars are increasingly becoming computers on wheels. Tesla kind of led the way on this, but virtually every automotive company out there now has a program to digitize the vehicle. And as those programs start to get deployed at scale into our cities, there's an increasing demand for data coming from intersections. And so you can think of Miovision as the digitization of infrastructure that's equivalent to the digitization of the vehicle. And when we're going to be on the sort of connected infrastructure side, we'll be the infrastructure talking to the connected vehicle.
Very cool. So the customers for this, tell me a little bit about the markets. So who and really why? Yep. Who are these customers and what do they want? And is it more than one customer?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, the intersection is, literally an intersection, but it's also metaphorically an intersection for all of the things that go on in a city, right? So you think about, as a consumer, we drive through the intersection on our way to work, taking the kids to soccer, but you also have transit vehicles that go through intersections. You have public safety vehicles like fire and police going through intersections. You have freight traffic going through intersections. So Miovision's customer is fundamentally the city. We put our equipment out there into their infrastructure. We provide them with a whole bunch of services that help them to optimize for congestion, improve safety, understand their operations better. But we also have customers through a number of acquisitions that we'll talk about in the transit agencies, in fire chiefs, in police chiefs, and the most recent acquisition is putting us right into the dash of a vehicle, so like a vehicle OEM. So we have a diverse customer set. Ultimately, the intersection is the thing they have in common, and then we provide various, on top of the data we generate on those intersections, various use cases that we solve for return on experience types of things where you're improving safety, reducing congestion, reducing greenhouse gases, but also now ROI, where if I'm a freight operator and I don't want to stop at a red light, because I have to burn fuel to reaccelerate, we can provide them with data that helps them to save money on fuel.
So that's a diverse group of customers. A lot of them are public sector customers, not traditionally known to be super high growth markets. So what's driving the growth? Is it that we're connecting all those customers together? Is it that those customers have problems that are big enough to solve that suddenly they are willing to spend? And how does that come to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination. So I would say, one of the metaphors that I've used for a long time is you can think of us as the smartphone of the intersection, right? And traditionally in this industry, you buy a different piece of hardware for each application that you want to run at the intersection. So that's a new capital purchase, a new truck roll, new maintenance issue you have to deal with. And what we do is we provide a single purpose piece of hardware that's equipped to do all sorts of different applications. You just buy the software applications you want to run on top of it. So this has allowed us to re-segment. There's this concept of red ocean and blue ocean. So red ocean is you compete in an existing market segment with an existing set of competitors on an existing set of competitive rules, competitive bases. Blue ocean is you define a new market and you get to change the competitive bases because it's a new market. And you generally, at least initially, don't have any competitors in there because it's a new market. So you can think of our smartphone at the intersection as a blue ocean product solving the same types of problems that a series of red ocean market segments used to provide. And this has created a new market that has a much bigger TAM than any one of those single point solution TAMs, which creates a huge growth opportunity for us.
Is there from the customer's point of view, is there an advantage of the fact, like, from their perspective, do they still view it as, hey, I just get the solution I care about? Or is there an advantage to them that we're connecting all of these solutions together?
Yeah. So unlike, as with most metaphors, they break down at some point.
Yeah.
So unlike a smartphone, with the smartphone, the intersection, what Miovision does, the smartphone, the consumer is both the buyer and the user, right? With our smartphone of the intersection, we have lots of different buyer users, right? So if the traffic operations department, they might be part of the city. Transit might be a regional buying center. Fire might be a different buying center. Certainly, private sector, the freight operators, the consumer passenger vehicle, like these are different buying centers. So for us, you have to sort of like land the device and then take advantage of all of these different buying centers. And to the degree you can get them all in the same room and get them to see how, if they all move together, they all win, then you do that. Sometimes it's not always possible to get them all in the same room.
Right.
So the way we approach that is we disconnect the sales from one another. So it might be traffic operations that moves first, but it might be transit that moves first. And then once one of them has moved and that device is physically present in the intersection, this gives us now an opportunity to go back into all those other groups and upsell them on software on top of infrastructure that someone else paid for.
Right. So you're in the intersection, you have this device, but it can do many things. You have an opportunity to go back in and go, it's already there. Would you like us to turn this on? Is there a commonality? I kind of think of it and think, hey, if I'm a transit operator and I'm operating buses, I care about traffic too. Obviously, the traffic authority, the transportation authority cares about moving vehicles. Everybody cares about safety. Are there threads that run through all of the buying segments with different, or do those people only care about the thing that they care about?
No, I mean, I think, like you mentioned safety as an example. If I'm a fire chief, getting my my fire trucks and all the firefighters to the emergency scene fast, but also safe, right? If I have to blow through a red light at an intersection, this is dangerous. I'd rather those lights be green. And then if you're a city, maybe for example, left turns are notoriously dangerous. As the driver, I'm focused on clearing the oncoming traffic, but I might not be, immediately focused on the person crossing the crosswalk that I'm about to intersect. So, we provide tools that help fire trucks get through intersections with green lights. We also provide tools that help cities to understand where they have high risk of conflict at crosswalks. But yeah, so safety would be an example of one of those threads. Operational efficiency, whether that's reducing delay time for commuter vehicles or keeping a bus on a schedule so that people are more inclined to take the bus because it's predictably going to arrive when they need to go to work, like those kind of things.
You mentioned the recent acquisition of TTS bringing us into automotive OEMs. Certainly, the existing application allowing, Audi famously has it can tell you what pace to drive to optimize getting green signals. It's a very different buyer.
Yep.
Is there something what do they care about?
Yeah, so in the case of the OEM, it's largely a customer experience type of buy. So they really, they're trying to sell a car. If you're Audi, you're trying to sell a car, it's a premium vehicle, you want to command a premium price for it, you need to be able to bring differentiation into your driver's experience. And so by connecting real-time information feeds from the intersections right into the vehicle dash, you can provide that differentiated experience for your driver. That same technology, though, can be used for fleet operators who it's less for them about experience and it's more about driver safety and ultimately about increasing productivity, reducing fuel costs, increasing throughput. But one thing, for example, the more times you stop at an intersection, the more likely is that someone texting is going to smash into you from behind. So if we can make it so that truck stops 20% less because it can, the driver can be an active participant, drive a certain speed to know that they're going to hit a green. That means less stopping. That means less risk of collision.
Well, you got to think too. Now we're living in the day where all of my orders online are getting trucked to my home. That's a growing and significant part of what the traffic mix is.
Yeah.
So okay, so we've we have the set of solutions Miovision does, and it's selling and it's growing very quickly. Is the growth just going to stay that way? Is it going to level out? Or do we see even more growth in the future? And if so, why?
Yeah, I mean, I always like growth is interesting, right? Growth comes in. There's the revenue growth, which is the thing that if you're an investor, you're a board member, like you're often focused on the financial metrics of growth. But sometimes growth comes in optimizing your internal metrics, right? So one of the things that we are really focused on right now, and I'll give you an example. If you're, let's say, you mentioned package delivery. So let's say you're Amazon, okay? You have hundreds of thousands of vehicles delivering packages all over North America. For you to really optimize your operation, it's not really enough for you to have 10% of the traffic signals with the capabilities we talked about. You're going to want a material number of intersections to have this capability, because then when you roll out an operational change, it can be felt at scale in your vehicle deploy base. So sometimes growth comes from operational metrics, such as the number of intersections that we have streaming data into fleet vehicles. And the revenue might actually be gated on, if it's 10%, maybe you have to get to 50% before someone like Amazon is interesting. So you might go from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, and all the while you're not actually seeing the corresponding increase in revenue, because you're building scale.
And then all of a sudden,
of a sudden, boom, it pops because you're relevant. So I think growth will continue for sure, but it will inevitably go through periods where we're measuring growth by revenue growth. But then it will inevitably go through periods where we're measuring growth on some other metric that's a leading indicator, a prelude to future revenue growth. Been doing this 19 years, and I've seen that pattern repeat over time. Sometimes they're called J curves, but often you'll grow to a plateau, and then you have to sort of do some things internally to get yourself ready for the next wave of growth.
Interesting. So, we're in the Kitchener offices right now. There's a lot of people here. There's people working all over the world. What contribute? I guess it takes a team to get to this kind of level. Who do you think was responsible, or who do you think contributed, or I guess how did we get here?
It takes a team, and especially, we did a number of acquisitions over the last couple of years. So there's the team that we've been building the business with for years in some cases, but then there's teams that were building other businesses for years that have now joined forces with Miovision. So it definitely takes a team to get there. And I would say with all the acquisitions that we did, the biggest thing is when you acquire a company, they know they're going to go through a period of change, right? But the thing that in order to realize the strategic synergy, if you will, of putting all these companies together, to build that blue ocean that I talked about, as opposed to just carrying on being a series of red oceans, everybody has to change as one. Like there's this new, not just the companies that got acquired, but Miovision proper. Things we've been doing for 10 years that made us successful aren't the things that are going to take us to the next level. And so the team is what makes you successful, and building a shared vision amongst now over 400 people is not a small feat. Takes the whole team kind of coming together around a shared vision to continue to make growth happen.
So what's next?
I kind of alluded to the focus of scale.
Yep.
One of the things with the TTS acquisition in particular, one of the things that we've gotten a lot of feedback from car companies, and Audi's one that we're public with, but a number of the other partners that we have is to really make this relevant to my entire customer base, right? Whether I'm a freight operator, a vehicle OEM, I need all the intersections, or substantially all of the intersections, and then even in our city and state customer base, they install today a device that we put into an intersection that can measure what's happening and provide them insights. But initially when we start working on the customer, we might only be at 5% of their intersections. But they have problems on all their intersections. So we're spending a lot of time right now thinking about ways to, if you think about Miovision emerging as the de facto winner of the urban mobility platform battle, scale is the ultimate determiner of who's the winner. And we're seeing a lot of our competitors, use evidence of features as a proxy for scale. Our view is like if you want to be the winner, you actually have to achieve scale. You can't just point at a feature and as a proxy for scale. So we're doing a lot of work right now to bring various types of either software only based intersections or hardware software based intersections online, so that we can serve our city and state customers with the scale that they need to be able to see the problems they have in their network, and then to be able to serve the fleets and the OEMs in the use cases that they have, where they're thinking beyond a city. They're thinking in like all of North America, all of Europe, all of the Middle East. Really exciting times for us. I think we're going to add more intersections next year than we've added cumulatively in the 19 years we've been at this.
So the story is coming to an intersection near you if it isn't already there.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thanks for taking time to talk to me today. I hope we have a chance to come back again soon to celebrate even more growth and talk a little bit more about what's next for us. And thank you for watching.
That was good.
All right.